Greetings, Poe fans. Welcome to another edition of Poe Unplugged. I am Carmen Bolden.
And I am Jeanie Smith, and we are
The Poetastic Two.
Come zoom with us into the Unbook Club dedicated to the works of Mr. Edgar Allan
Recording in
Poe.
progress.
Hello, Poe Unpluggers, and welcome back to another wonderful session. And tonight, we're going to do one of Poe's, in my opinion, most horrors, is the Premature Burial.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, especially this time of year, it's Halloween time. It's one of the spooky times. And the one thing we all, and I know I do, I won't say all, because maybe some people don't have this fear, but being buried alive.
Yes.
That's just the horror of it all. And we
Mhm.
also, some of us rewatched and some of us watched for the first time the Roger Corman film of The Premature Burial. So we're
And I
going to
have
kind
to
of,
say that this movie was a heck of a lot better than last month's.
well, last month we won't even call it a Poe movie. It was just, it was a Poe farce. That's what
wasn't.
we call it. Yeah. But Premature Burial, in my opinion, is it is one of his most psychological, in my opinion, because he brings in reality, things that really happened into the story, which I love when he does that, like with the story of Marie Roget, talking about the real problem of Mary Rogers. But this one, and as I was rereading the story, I felt, wow, he really got into his figurative language because he went adjective crazy. It's like the first half of the book. It's like there was adjective after adjective after adjective, and I was like, wow, he really wanted to hit home that point. So I loved it. But why don't we just thoughts and ideas from anybody else? Let's hear about what you have to say before I keep going, because I can do that. I can.
I was just going to say, I agree with you. There was a lot of of explaining of, like you say, adjectives and lots of things happening pretty much all the way through the story, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this story was probably one of the most frightening of Poe's stories for me for a number of reasons. One of which is like that the fear of being buried alive was very real in the 19th century. And I mean that so Poe and Poe was a taphophobic, if you've heard that word, taphophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fear of being buried alive. He was a taphophobic, as were many people in that time. I did a little research on this because I wrote my blog that's coming out on Halloween Day about taphophobia in my newsletter. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter, go to cheryljoseph.com/newsletter so you can catch it this Friday. But anyway, I also Googled those 4 stories that he told in his story. And they were factual. Those were real people. Those really happened. I didn't know that before. It's been a while since I've read the story. But I think the thing that's really frightening to me in this story is that here's a man who's cataleptic, which so he had a fear of being pronounced dead when he wasn't. And he tried to do all these things to prevent that happening, and yet it happened, or we think it happened. And so if somebody like that who thinks he's in control can lose control, and this fear still manifests itself, that to me is absolutely terrifying. Yeah.
Well, and you also have to think of those days that when traveling, like with Charles Darwin when he was going to Galapagos and then the Amazon forest, and people were learning of the different poisons. I'm putting air quotes here, people. Kind of like curare coming out, that curare can totally shut down the body, and some people recover, some, don't. But in narcolepsy, catatonia, all these different things were coming out in the medical, still using air quotes because, medical was still a hit and miss in those days because they would still bleed you. He did see that, did say that in the story. Yeah, bloodletting was the main thing about that. But it's just, it was so weird. And that's like when Carmen and I were doing our, what was it called?
What,
We did
our
the
episode?
funeral thing.
Oh, yes, funeral
Yeah,
practices
thank you.
and yes, and things of the 19th century.
Yeah, when we did that episode and we were talking about the Victorian, how they would leave people out for 3 days, and that was a reason for that. And this was it, because they said after 3 days, if you don't pop up and say, "Hey, I'm still alive," you're good to be buried. But
Mm.
even then, like in one of the stories, even after the 3 days, they put the wife into the mausoleum, and 3 years later,
Mhm.
the husband went down to put the sarcophagus, and there the body was still hanging by
Yes,
the
Yeah.
shroud
Oh,
in an
God.
upright position and fell into his arms. And it was like,
that was
just,
creepy.
Very
yeah, and it
creepy.
was not just creepy, but
Horrifying.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, that too.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like to know that you sentenced basically someone to death without
Mhm.
knowing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it just,
Well, and it's horrifying for the person it happens to that's supposedly dead, but then it's very horrifying to think that you were responsible for that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And rereading this now, from as before, because we did this one before a couple years ago. Since then, for my next book, I'm doing, there's going to be funeral practices and things in it, and so I did several like research, read several books on this over the summer, and one was the Victorian Book of the Dead, and the author's name is Chris Woodyard, and he's also got a book called, I was looking it up, the I think it's the ABCs. It's like the alphabet of death or something like that. I can't find it right off Amazon. But anyway, after reading about all these other horrific stories of people being buried alive, and just the fears that the Victorians had of, ghosts and things, of people being in, having the body laid out, in the living room, and all of those kind of things, it really put a new perspective on this story. So it made me appreciate it more than I did the first time.
Hmm.
And but yeah, I kind of, at first, I think the first time I read this, I didn't appreciate the real stories he included at the beginning. I liked the second part of the story with the man going through everything.
Mhm.
Now, since I've done all this research, it's
Mm.
like, ooh, this
Yeah.
really, it makes it even richer of a story, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Carmen. I think part of it is the story itself, the man laying in on the ship is
Mhm.
really just a very quick little vignette. So it's like this
Mhm.
idea, which is a neat idea, but to build up to it, the whole first half is just emphasizing, here are some examples of this horrendous thing, and it really helps you to, I think, appreciate the horror of it. And so
Yeah.
you really get steeped in that. Okay, now
Mhm.
like, let me give you my example. If he just left all that first part out and just went to his little story of being in the bunk, I think it wouldn't be nearly as effective.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
Yeah.
Kind of like a
Absolutely.
slow
Mhm.
burn type situation
Mhm.
Yeah.
leading up to it.
And I like the blend of reality and fiction. You
Mhm.
know,
Hmm.
the story begins like a news report.
It
He's just
does.
giving us
Mhm.
details and histories
Yeah.
of real life events, and so
Right.
that um, lends more realism to his fictitious story that he leads
Right.
into after he tells us all of these true
Hmm.
occurrences of premature burial.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right, Dr. Jeff. And I think that's one of the things that makes Poe so intriguing, that his body of work, he always kind of rides this this barrier between, is it true or is it a hoax? And he's got a number of things that have been called a hoax, that some which, maybe he didn't intend to be hoaxes, some he did, but I think he creates such believability and realism to his tales that it's really unclear where the truth ends and where the fiction begins.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that kind of goes with one of his very famous quotes that's in this story, and this is one of my favorites. The boundaries which divide life from death are at best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where the one ends and where the other begins?
Mhm.
I was going to
That's a
say
great
that, Carmen.
Mhm.
Yeah, that this wins for one of the best quotes of all time.
Mhm.
yes.
And you know what? Also, Carmen, for me, I've read the story a whole bunch of times. So today,
Yeah.
right before, I wasn't going to reread it because I have read a lot, but right before we got on, I listened to an audiobook by Rambling Idiosyms. I have to say, I actually like the story more now. I got something different from it. So Poe Conspiracy, you guys heard it here first. The way he read, I wasn't. He sounded like he had a slight Scottish accent to me, but I'm probably really wrong with that. But the way he read it, when he was reading the second part with the story in France about the woman who was buried and runs off with her lover, which is, side note, my favorite part of the whole thing because I love the dark romance of all of it. But anyway, when he's reading it, he almost sounds like he's saying Rennell, or like it sounds like he's saying Reynolds, which we know is apparently has been rumored to be one of Poe's very like last words that he called out that name. But the way
Mhm.
that this narrator read it, it actually sounded so much like it. I actually had to pause it, pull up the document, see what the name was, because I was like, is he saying Reynolds? And I just kind of thought it was kind of funny because I like the idea of maybe as Poe's dying, he's letting us know, like, hey guys, I'm going to look dead, but I'm not going to be dead because it's from this story. So just a little fun thing if you wanted to check out how he read it. I was like, that is so wild and crazy. I was like, Poe Conspiracy. But
So,
Mhm.
Holly, I listened to the same one on my way
was it
home.
the Rambling Idiots? Yeah, because I was like,
Yes.
wow, he had a great voice. He was clear. He talked quicker. Like, there's no need to
Yes.
draw out everything. So it's like an hour. It was 36-minute listen, and I was like, I really like his voice. I haven't had a chance to check if he's done other post stuff, but yeah, guys, check it out because it sounds like he says Reynolds, like because
And
it's
when
French, right? So I mean, he was pronouncing it because the story took place in France with a French accent at that point, and yeah, I was like, wow.
what's especially good about this is this conspiracy theory, about kind of voice from beyond the grave is coming from a black box on my screen from a woman who's laying on her back in a dark room.
I was gonna say, and I wish I had a premature burial drink here with chocolate sprinkles on it to top it
Uh-huh.
off, but I do not. I do not.
Oh. Well, other thoughts.
Oh, I have a thought about the movie. So I watched it. It was my first time. I know I missed last month, but you guys are like, the Oblong Box had its good moments, but we're talking about Premature Burial now. And I did like that they had some exact quotes that they threw in there from the actual
Mhm.
story. Overall, I loved the last 10 minutes of it, and that was probably it. It's definitely not one I would watch again. But the last 10 minutes it was worth it to get to the rat race, and that was all.
Well, Holly was better than the one last month.
Yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
you know what's funny? I really actually, the Oblong Box had some major issues with, like, I say the hooker scene was way too long in that, like when he goes to the whorehouse.
Yes.
Like that could have been cut. It was like silly and goofy. But I like
Yes.
the idea that in his attempt to expose his brother as a monster, he became a monster. And that's kind of like a trope in horror. And so I thought that part of it was well done. But again, I probably wouldn't watch that one again either.
Yeah.
Except Ray
I did.
Milland was in it, for goodness sakes. Ray Milland. Oh my, he can class up any movie he's in, you know. Like The Man with X-Ray Eyes. I mean, that one doesn't sound that great, but boy, did he do a great job
Yeah,
in
he
it.
did.
But
Yeah.
Holly,
He's a
Raymond is
great
like
actor,
Daughter of the
period.
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Holly, to your point about the lover running off with the lovers running off or whatever. Have any of you seen the Boris Karloff thriller Premature
Oh, yeah.
Burial?
Yes.
Mhm.
I
I have
have not.
not. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch
It's
that.
it's from 1961. I think I've got
Okay.
the link here somewhere. I'll look for it and put it in the chat.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
but it's
you.
also, I also referenced it in my newsletter. Boris Karloff starts out, he narrates, but he's also with a character, a main character in the story. And it's really frightening. And he uses a lot of the Poe's language, actually from the story about the quote you mentioned, Carmen.
Okay.
You know, like the veil between life and death, you know, we don't know, it's all vague and all that.
Yeah.
Uses quite a bit as the story goes on, and it's just it's dramatic, it's really well done. Black and white makes it creepier, you know, all that.
Yes. Oh
No,
yeah,
no,
that sounds great.
sounds good because
Yeah, I'll put
Yeah, I
the
may have
trying
to
to
link.
go
definitely watch that
through.
one too, because I like him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm trying to slowly go through all the old movies. You know, it takes time, which is great when there's a movie that matches the story, because then it kind of forces me like, hey, I need to watch this today. So that's
Oh,
good.
absolutely. Well, and I was going to add Ray Milland, two other movies that I love him in. One, he's a villain in both. Dial M for Murder with Gracie Mann
Yes.
as
Oh, I
well.
did see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's fantastic,
it
and
It
is.
it's
That's very good.
is.
comedy in it. And John William is the detective, and he's fantastic. And then the other movie is not, I don't think it's as well known as it should be. It's Midnight Lace, and it's Ray
Oh
Milland
yeah.
and Day,
Mhm.
and it,
I've seen
it's
that one.
it's a thriller. It's
Yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic. And he is
right.
so good in it.
He's just a great actor, period.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was.
absolutely. Well,
Well,
one
speaking
other. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. It's all good. I'll wait.
No, I was just gonna, because mostly my thoughts on it have already been reiterated. I think what makes the story so good, as everyone knows, is how it's set up.
Mhm.
With all the real things that actually happen, because it gives somewhere in the story, it brings out the point that uh, reality is scarier than fiction,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and in many cases it certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
My only critique, the only thing I didn't like about the story was also mentioned, but in a more positive light. He gave so many descriptions,
Mhm.
maybe because of my elderly status. Reading one sentence that's almost a page long gets tiring.
Makes me jealous. I can't
And
write
I
that.
had to go back and read it again. Say, now what's the noun? What's the verb? What are they describing? Are they describing this? Well, wait a minute. What the hell is it? But after I did it 2 or 3 times, I got used to it. But that's just the style he wrote in, and maybe that's what helps make it good.
So
And I
many,
also just like the ending of it. Uh, I think it gives he brings out the old conqueror worm thing about the
Mhm.
shadow being around. I thought that was a good way to bring in his other works. And
Mhm.
then finally, my last thought is, I think he gives us the lesson of uh, don't be afraid of your fears. You can overcome them.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
can control it.
Mhm.
Don't let your fears control your life, because it certainly controlled his.
Yeah.
Yes.
With all the realignment of the
Mhm.
vault and the and the bell and the cushioned and all that stuff. Anyway, I love the story. The movie, I thought it was good. I too am a big Ray Milland fan. I have been since I was a kid. He was a big guy
Mhm.
back in what, 1940s, 1950s.
Mhm.
He was really good. But anyway, I thought it was really a good story.
And
And I also agree that the movie was so much better than what the one was last year, which
mhm.
actually it was a comedy.
Mhm. Mhm.
But anyway,
And
I think it's one of his better stories.
mhm.
Mhm.
I
While
appreciate it.
acknowledging that the movie really had very little to do with Poe's story itself, as so many
Right.
of the Corman. But it was a good plot, and I didn't see the ending. The first time I watched it, I did not see the ending coming. Uh, I thought it was a little unfair in the movie that his wife or girlfriend, I guess, was far too fawning in the movie to really be plotting against him. It's like her behavior came across as far too genuinely in love with him to really match her true intentions.
Yeah.
But isn't that key though to creating a character? That you try to fool the audience into
I
thinking
guess
that person couldn't.
I've always felt that, again, I was raised in Sherlock Holmes. I've always felt that you need to give the audience a sporting chance to be able to pick up on the clues.
But they did. But wait. They did in the movie in the very beginning when he's like, "You still want to marry me?" And she's like, "Oh, I want to marry you even more now." I mean, I was thinking to myself at that point, I was like, yeah, like, I mean, I know we're all about fixing men, but like, seriously, that sounds like a big problem to fix. So like, that was your little clue that she was like,
Okay.
oh, that I think that was the one, at least after everything comes back for me at the end. I'm like, I flash back to that moment. That seemed kind of like a weird line, but that was showing her duplicity.
So maybe this is just a case of female intuition that you pick up on this stuff, and I'm just like saying, "Oh my God, Hazel Court."
Yeah.
No, she was.
Yeah.
I was gonna say she had that voice, right? It was very dulcet. She had one of those voices where she could probably talk you into anything just by talking, let alone her other womanly wild.
Very sexy.
I don't
very
know.
sexy.
The talking was the part that was getting me hooked, but that's fine.
Yeah. I get where you're going, but yeah, totally. I was like, I would marry her too and let her probably kill me. I get it.
In all the Corman films that she was in, she always was a villain.
But sometimes the villains are the ones that are really attractive and come across as being sexy. That's part of their villainy.
Yeah. And this is the third Corman film, because it's kind of funny because for November, this is mine and Jeannie's movie to review for Review Morgue. So
that's funny.
So it keeps getting unburied.
Yes.
Got its own premature burial. Well, the one thing that I think with the movie, no, it wasn't one of my, well, not many of them have been my favorites because they take too much liberty, in my opinion, away from Poe's stories. So,
I agree with you on
I
that.
try to look at it from a different perspective. So with this one, the one thing that I would give it props for, no pun intended, is the props, because it brings in the visualization of the story. And some people are very much visual and can get more from the audio, from the visual. And so it kind of helps, I guess, build up their imagination. You know, not all of us have this catastrophic type of imagination like me that I can, visualize everything, but it helps reinforce, in my opinion, Poe's kind of stick to the premature burial of the fear of what can it do to a person who has that fear. So I will say that that's one of the things about the movie that I do like about it.
I think it's a
But
very attractive movie.
yes. And I don't want to say too much about it. Like Carmen said, we're reviewing it next month. So it's like, I'm going to save all the good stuff for then. But the one thing about the quote that Carmen was talking about, every time I read that quote and think about how much Poe despised Shakespeare, it always makes me think that this quote is him sticking it to Shakespeare when Shakespeare, there's more to I don't, forgive me because I don't remember the exact quote, but there's more in between heaven and earth. Mercutio, isn't that what it is, or something like that? Horatio, yeah. I know Mercutio was the next. Anyway, there's more between heaven and earth. So every time I read that quote, I'm thinking, that's Poe's way of just saying, "Up yours, Shakespeare. I said it better, and it makes more sense."
And speaking of
I just want to
quotes, I
interject.
mean,
if y'all happen to see behind my head this ghostly figure going back and forth,
Yes.
that's not a ghost. That's my
Brandon?
15-year-old.
Oh.
He come down to the come down in my basement. He came down to get something. I don't know what.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
He's
Okay,
like,
he's
you
gone.
didn't see me. I'm
Ghost is
here.
gone.
I thought it was a ghost.
Yeah, you should have
Mhm.
just kept with it being a ghost, Mike.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mhm. Floating by.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Jeannie, what you were saying about like quotes, I mean, and like he didn't quote Shakespeare, but he actually quotes Lord Byron in this, which we all know he had
Mhm.
a big love
yes.
for Lord Byron with, the truth is stranger than fiction, which is actually a Byron quote. So that was cool.
Yes.
And
Yes, and
and
I looked up all like when Byron wrote that, and it's very interesting because when you look at that quote, some people attribute it to Byron and some people attribute it to Twain. And
Really?
Poe used this in 1844,
Mm.
and then Twain didn't use it until I think it was 1898.
Later. Mhm.
Mm.
Looking at my
Much
notes.
later.
So
And so it's just very
where
interesting.
did Twain use it?
The Pudd'nhead variations.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought that was really interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I was going to bring that up a minute ago. And yeah, I was just like, and I was like, I know Poe didn't say that, but I couldn't remember who did. And so, yes, Holly, I looked it up because
yeah. I was
that,
gonna say I always think because people say it all the time, so I always like think of the Lord Byron who
oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
And it's totally natural for Poe to use Byron.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's another
Mhm.
little. And I do like that he did that. And back to what Mike was saying with the whole like, it's kind of one of Poe's like happy kind of stories at the end. It's like the fable. It has a positive message. Make sure you live your life. Oh, and
Yeah.
before I forgot, what the movie did really effectively is using the whistling to, like, as a psychological kind of as
Mhm.
a cue to everything that was going on. So
Mhm.
whistling the same song.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
that was another one of those little tie-ins to her trying to drive him crazy
Yeah.
with because she's playing it on the piano, the creepy song. Or I guess it was really a happy song turned creepy in his mind. But yeah, I
Yeah.
thought the movie did that really effectively with the music.
Mhm.
And that was a really
It took
nice touch that you really wouldn't be able to get in a book or something, like to actually hear it. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's true. Yeah. It's like it really it's imagery, but you're
Different
in like
senses. Yeah.
yeah, and with the movie you can hear it, but when you're reading
Yes.
it, you're just hearing it in your head.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
It
very
took
well done. I did smile to myself every time I heard the little creepy whistle. And I was like, oh, I love the whistling.
it took me a few days to get that tune out of my head after watching that movie.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, that was so creepy.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Have
like
any
every
of you
time I watch.
had, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's like every time I watch or hear anything about Nightmare on Elm Street, I
Mm.
can't help but start singing that stupid rhyme song in my head, and it takes forever
Oh
to get it
yeah.
back out of there.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Freddy's
oh
coming for
man,
you.
I haven't seen that movie in like 40 years, but yet that song's still stuck in there every time I hear somebody say, oh, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm like, oh, great, here we go again.
Yeah,
That time of
that's
year.
like that. That's like the reruns of the old ABC.
I think he froze.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, he froze.
The ABC show what?
Dark
Yeah.
Shadow.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
Actually, right now I am re-watching all of those. I started from the
Ah,
beginning
So
very cool.
cool.
about
I
6 or 7 years.
that.
Yeah.
I
Where
want to
are
do
you in
that.
the story? Where
But
are you in the story?
and the story, Diane, well, the actress, her name's not Diane, is the actress.
Diana
What is her?
Millay, Laura Collins, the Phoenix.
Yeah, Laura.
Mhm.
Laura Collins. They just realized that she is the evil person who's been alive for 200
Yeah.
plus years and doing all
Right.
the damage
Yes.
to the family.
Mhm.
But
Oh.
I've thought of that because he's talking about the eerie music. I can lay down
Mm.
at night and I can hear that silly going
Mhm.
on in the back of my head. That's a theme song to the Dark Shadows.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
And
Robert
then I get a
Cobert's.
joy out of watching how bad the acting was in that show, but I still enjoy it. So you get a chance. It's a lot of fun.
And
Robert
Dr.
I
Jeff,
watch it on.
Dr.
uses
Jeff,
his
you've
I
written
watch
a
it
methods.
on.
book about this, right?
Yeah, I've written 3 books about producer-director Dan Curtis, who created Dark Shadows.
Yes,
Mhm.
And I've
Dan Curtis.
spoken on several podcasts lately about Dark Shadows.
Mhm.
But Dark Shadows uses the premature burial. You know, Elizabeth Collins Stoddard
Right.
becomes obsessed with becoming buried alive and even builds a mausoleum similar to the one in the story with a bell and everything.
Mhm.
And then a couple of other characters are buried alive later in the story, too.
Gosh, it's been so long since I've seen that.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
it
There's 2
is.
sections if you watch it on YouTube. What a Tubi is what I
Tubi,
watch it
Mhm.
on.
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's
yeah,
where I watched it too
There's one
and finished.
section. There's like 6 seasons on the first section. They call it the beginning,
right. Before
and then when the
Barnabas.
vampires come in, the next part
Hmm.
starts in 1971. That's when it started for a few years. But I really get a kick out of watching it. But again, uh, if
Some of the
anybody
sets are really
it
cheesy.
gets really hard up for
Mhm.
something to do, that's kind of fun to watch them all over again.
Yeah, I actually just finished, they finally were streamed it, the 1991, 1 season of Dark Shadows, and I really enjoyed it. I
It's
thought it was really
fantastic.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
very, very dramatic and emotional and tragic.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes, and I was like, and I understand why they had canceled it, but I was like, "Oh my gosh, that could have gone on for probably 6 or 7 seasons and
It
done
should
very
have.
well."
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very well done with a much bigger budget than the daytime show had, but
Yes.
with Dan Curtis still at the helm and some of the Dark Shadows writers, and of course the composer Robert Cobert. So
Mhm.
it was quite authentic and yet completely different in the changes that were made and the different ways that they arrived at the different plot points, but still
Mhm.
very much reminiscent of the TV show and its tone.
Yes,
Yeah, and then the
absolutely.
TV show, for those of you who watch it, the actress Joan Bennett, who
Mm.
plays the lead lady,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, she's across kind of dark and spooky, but then you look back at
Mhm.
some of her 1940s movies when she was like the
Mhm.
star of the movies. She
Right.
was all blonde. You wouldn't even know it was the same person.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
she always seemed to play the villain, though.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know
she
if
was
anybody.
in some film noir movies. Fritz Lang directed
Mhm.
her in Scarlet Street and The Woman in the Window,
Right.
and
Mhm.
stayed good friends with her, and even visited the Dark Shadows set one day. By then, his eyesight was going, but he would listen to the show on TV. But he still had some sight and visited the set and gave the lighting men some pointers about how to adjust the lights.
Mm.
Mhm.
Cool.
That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
I always thought Joan Bennett was a much better actress than she was given credit for.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But
Wow.
I think that about myself too, so it's all right.
All right. What other thoughts?
Did any of you get a chance to read that Ed Simon article?
Yes.
That is talk about starting out with just really getting you in the mood for what's coming up. He goes into detail about what it would be like to be buried alive. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And it's quite an article. That's I was really, my daughter actually found that article and sent the link to Steve and me. And I read it immediately and I saved it. It's just, and I put it in my newsletter. It's just phenomenal. And then thank you, Carmen and Jeanie, for putting that in the email, the link
Oh,
to
you're
it. You
welcome.
put the
Yeah.
link in the email. It's an amazing article. I think the guy's just an incredible writer. Um, uh, so, but I mean, I didn't know Poe was taphophobic until I read that article. And it's like, well, of course. I think most people back then were anyway.
That is true. I think I had heard a little bit about it, but not like in depth about
Mhm,
his
mhm.
fears and things.
Yeah,
Well, I think most people in that day and time had, well, ever since the Black Plague,
yeah.
had some semblance of it because there had been so many, especially those that were in Europe before they came to America. They had
Mhm.
the family stories and everything about being buried alive and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, and I mean, think about it. Claustrophobia would probably play into that. Being afraid of the dark would have
Mhm.
some semblance of that. So there's all these other phobias that would play into
Mhm.
that anyway. But,
Mhm.
and the sense of being out of control is what would
Mhm.
get me the most.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be so much about the claustrophobia or anything like that, just knowing that you have no way of controlling your own destiny at that point.
Right. Right.
You and that's what really bothers me. And the one thing that, okay, this is going to be kind of morbid, but I got to say it anyway. Cuz this ties a little bit to, I guess you could call it my origin story with my mom. She told me one day, cuz I asked her, I said, "Mom, where did, you know how we all get these curiosities, how you came up with your name. You know, how
Mhm.
did I get named this or whatever?" And my mom and dad were big country music singer and songwriter fans. Dolly Parton and Porter Wagner were one of their favorites. Well, she told me one day, she said, "Well, honestly," she said, "I was listening to a song by Dolly Parton and Porter Wagner, and I just loved the song." And I said, "Oh, cool. What was it called?" "It's because Jeannie's afraid of the dark." I went, "What?" So I happened to be traveling in '97, and I was getting in this gas station in, I think it was either Texas or New Mexico, and I saw this tape, because this is back in '97, they still had cassette tapes, and I saw this cassette tape of Porter Wagner and Dolly Parton, and it
And
had
that
that
song
song
was
on it.
on there.
So I thought, okay, I want to hear what this song is. And after I heard it, I called up my mom at the next stop because this was before cell phones and all this kind of stuff. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Mom, that is the most depressing song ever."
Mm.
She's like, "But it was really good because the premise is their daughter, who's named Jeannie, they go to put flowers on the grave of a relative. And so they explain to her about, the tombs and all this kind of stuff. And then she tells them that she's afraid of the dark. So she ends up dying when she's like 5.
Oh.
Like, what? And so when they bury her, they put an eternal flame on her tombstone because the whole
She's
point of the
afraid of the
song is
dark.
Jeannie's afraid of the dark.
Oh.
And that's
Uh,
what Jeannie tells them in this is that, "Mom and Dad, I'm afraid of the dark. I don't want to die because I'm afraid of the dark." And I'm going, I don't know how to feel about that at the moment. But when I was reading the Premature Burial, I'm thinking, this would fit perfectly with this story because you're stuck in a place that when can you imagine laying in
mm,
a coffin
mm,
and you
mm,
open your eyes but you can't see anything?
Yeah.
mm,
You know,
No,
yeah, I
no.
know, and I'm thinking, well, no wonder I'm psychologically scarred. Thanks, Mom.
mhm.
I mean, leaving
But
that
what,
part aside, Jeannie, that is a great origin story for your name.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that,
I think it is too.
that's really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
kind of
think I
fits
think we
me, and
should
that's
buy
that's
her an
sad.
eternal flame.
Yeah, exactly. But it kind of fits mostly with, I guess, my love of literature and
Yeah.
just things in the. But the thing of it is I'm not afraid of the dark. I love the dark, and that's what's so sad is because even Carmen knows. Anytime you come over to my house, I have to turn lights on for other people because I don't keep lights on in my house. I just don't. I don't like if it's not natural. I'm like, I'm okay without it.
Mm,
That
So I
But
don't
story
know which
sounds
is
similar. That story sounds similar to someone buried at the Nashville City Cemetery.
oh.
Over there near the Cumberland Science Museum, Adventure
Yeah.
Science Museum, and the
mhm,
old Sounds baseball stadium. My grandfather, T.C. Young, was the superintendent of the city cemetery back in the 1960s.
Mm,
So as a boy, I was often over there walking among the tombstones and playing, and that sounds like of the backstory of a girl who's buried over there, and there's a little lantern
mhm,
above her
Oh.
tombstone because she was
wow.
afraid of the dark.
Oh my.
Huh.
But
yeah.
your parents should have told you that they named you for Jeannie Seeley or Jeannie C. Riley.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That
That's
would have
what I
been a
thought. I
better
was like,
story.
but
But
yeah, I didn't
that's
delve into it. Go ahead, Mike.
no. I was going to say, we all know that it's been proven time and time again that at one time in our history there were many victims of premature burial. That was exposed under one circumstance or another. But I think we could all go to sleep tonight, rest assured that in today's world, if they put us in the ground, we're dead.
Yeah.
By the time
Pretty
they
Yeah.
drain your blood and stick you with embalming fluid and
Yeah.
do everything else to you, you're pretty well out. But even still, I have knowing that if they put me in the ground, I don't know anything going on anyway.
Yeah.
This idea of it scares me,
Yeah.
makes me nervous. And I think that is one of the reasons why I have elected that when my time comes, I'm going to be cremated
Yes.
as opposed to put in the ground. The
Yeah.
thought of being covered up, I just don't like it.
No.
And
I wanna
maybe
be
it has something to
cremated.
do with Poe that I started
Yeah.
to read when I was 10 years old. I don't know.
Could be.
I'm with
Could
you
be.
I wanna
on
be
there on
cremated
that,
too.
Mike.
Here's
I told my daughter, I said, after reading the Poe article she sent, and then, the Poe Fest we just were at, I said, I am totally committed now to cremation. I just watched too many vampire movies and resurrections from the dead and and premature burial stuff. It's like, no, I don't want any part of any of that stuff. So
Holly, I don't know if you knew that or not.
I do now.
You do now.
I do now.
Okay, I didn't know if you.
I'm sure.
you know-
I was gonna say I'm sure Matt does. But you know what's funny about you saying that? There is a Christmas Carol reversion. It's called FX Christmas Carol. I've talked about it before. And then when Jason Markowitz was on here, because it has Guy Pearce in it, like one of my favorite actors. But in the beginning, they have Jacob Marley. I'm not giving anything away. As you know, he dies in the beginning. He's already dead. But he actually shows him stuck in his coffin as part of his purgatory. He's actually in the graveyard, and this kid comes to pee on his grave, and he's actually stuck there. So he keeps getting peed on. But that's actually how it kind of like opens up. It's such a great retelling of the Christmas Carol. It's my all-time favorite. But it does have that, like where he's stuck in there, he's trying to get out, and he's like, "You gotta be kidding me! Like I'm stuck under the ground, essentially buried alive, but he's dead." So it's a little fun spin on that.
Interesting.
Steve, that reminds me of your book, Dying Wish.
Getting peed on?
No, not that part.
That's his new book. That's his new
stuck
book.
in the ground.
I don't remember that part.
The stuck in the ground part. That part, the premature.
Oh,
that
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I know you've written. I know it's hard to think back on the books you've written, huh?
I still don't know, as bad as it is, as Jeannie is talking about, I think Poe does a very good job of describing how horrific it is to suddenly wake up and find yourself in the coffin. But the other horror that's communicated in the story is the horror of realizing that you've consigned someone else to that. Again, finding the scratch marks on the inside of the coffin.
Yes.
Just the guilt that attends that, and just, oh my God.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of horror in this story.
Yes, there is.
On multiple levels.
Yes.
And then, of course, the horror of not living your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up. Yeah.
Steve, you said the critique, the only critique you had from the article was the line, "The few mourners walked away beneath the crooked, treeless oaks and hickories of the Westminster Presbyterian burying ground."
Yeah,
And
I'm just being uncharitable in this, but it is obviously some kind of an editing issue to talk about treeless oaks.
Yeah,
I assume
he meant
leafless.
leafless.
Yeah.
Oh, leafless. Yeah. Well, this, are you talking about is the article, the Simon article, Steve?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring? Okay, because in that article, when it first flashed up on the screen, Allen was misspelled. Allen.
Oh, really?
And I went down quickly to the bottom to see if anybody noticed it. And there were a couple of comments like, you know, at least you could do is spell his name correctly. And I'm sure it was not the writer, it was the editor, because the link
Yeah.
also, if you look at the link that Carmen posted for the article, if you look at the link, it also spells Alan incorrectly. But within 5 minutes, the name was corrected.
Oh, really? After
Yeah.
that critique?
Within 5 minutes, the spelling in the article, in the title, was corrected probably by the editor or whoever, but not in the link.
All of you on this chat that are involved in writing, I think, can appreciate the importance of having a good editor, and the horror of having a bad editor who inserts errors into your writing.
And Steve is a very good proofreader, and so is Mike. Thanks, guys.
Well, we're close to time. Any final thoughts on the Premature Burial?
I thought
Halloween
the
is a Friday.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
take
Thought the
your
ending what,
Poe
Cheryl?
book, find a nice cemetery, grab a tombstone, sit down and read the book out loud. Maybe somebody might enjoy it being heard in the graveyard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You start to hear yelling from underground.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I want to go to the city cemetery and find the grave Dr. Jeff's talking about, because I've been out there multiple times. I love that cemetery, and I want to find that grave.
Yeah, I think it's
that
near,
actually.
I think it's
Go
near
ahead.
the little office, which used to be my grandfather's office. And it's a boulder. It's a boulder with a little lantern on the top of it. I
Okay.
may be mistaken, but that's what I remember. And it seems to me I remember that there was a song written about it. So maybe I heard that same song.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Dolly Parton and Porter Wagner wrote that, or Dolly may have wrote that song about that particular thing. So I'm gonna have to look that up now. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I've never heard the song, so I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, good point. All right, Cheryl, you were going to say something. I think interrupted.
Oh, I was
I'm sorry.
gonna. What was I gonna say?
About the ending, Cheryl.
I would. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I first read this many years ago, this story, I remember wondering, how is he going to get out of this situation? How is this story going to end? Because if he was ultimately prematurely buried, how did he live to tell the story?
Yeah,
exactly.
And so I thought Poe did that very cleverly, like, made it a dream, a nightmare where he was on the boat, and it wasn't really, had not really been buried alive, but that cured him.
Horrible dream.
That cured him of his phobia, of the character in the story. But I thought that was very interestingly done.
Yes. Yes.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well,
before we go, I just want to say, Carmen and Jeanie, I saw your pictures of the function you had down at Lebanon State Park.
Oh, that we went to?
Yeah, those are really neat pictures, and I just wanted to pass that on to you.
Oh, thank you.
It looked like you had a lot of fun.
We did. It was a lot of fun. There was a Poe, a guy that dressed up as Poe, and he did some readings, and it just Jeanie was describing it earlier, I think, before you got on, and it was a rainy, dreary day. The temperature was like perfect. Yeah, it was just really cool.
Don't joke about that, Micah. That could have happened. Okay, I'm just saying.
I'm laughing at
my
Micah's
imaginary
comments,
friend
hilarious.
was named Jolene, so yes. Well, Mitt's back.
So what's
He's
the
like,
story?
"Are you
what's
done
the
yet?"
story for next month?
So next month, I moved it up a week because of Thanksgiving week. I thought that, people, you guys, some of you might be traveling or just hanging out with family. All right, come on, Mitt. Thank you. Okay, he was talking up a storm. We're going to do it on November 18th, same time, 7:00 Central Time. And the story is going to be The Devil in the Belfry.
Belfry.
So that's a good one.
I have not read that one, if you can believe it.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I haven't read it in a while, so it'll be good to return to it.
I read it at our 8-hour thing,
Yes,
our
you did.
fundraiser. I
Yes,
liked it. I love that.
the Doomsday.
That's the Cabbages and Clocks, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Steve, I liked your post about that story in your Chasing Phantoms. I don't remember which day it was, but it
Yeah,
was,
I actually created a cocktail that
yes,
involves both
yeah.
cabbages and thyme, and for thyme we use THYME, but anyway.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, Steve was very clever in that book. Very, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely second that. Steve, you are a clever boy.
There will be
Yeah.
by our next meeting, I will have my Poe cocktail book out.
Mhm.
So
Well,
watch this space for more.
Mhm.
we are hoping to have our recipe book out as well. We're having
And
some.
let's remind everybody of the title again.
So it is the Flavored Raven, thanks to Holly.
Oh, yeah.
And
Flavor.
yeah, recipes inspired from the works of Edgar Allan Poe.
Thank you, Micah. We can't wait to see you. And your third show, what, 11/18? Is that what it was? Because Micah's, yeah, November
His
the
play.
18th. Is that that's his Raven? That's your Raven show, right? That you do every year. So he won't be
No,
joining us on the 18th.
That's his Dr. Watson play that he's
Mm.
doing.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. He's doing that instead of the Raven. That's right. Okay.
Yes. Well,
All
all
right.
right, guys. Well,
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Yes.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah,
We will.
good luck, Micah, with your play. I wish I could be there. I know
Yes.
it's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I hope you can figure out a way to record it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be there and I'm gonna bootleg something for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should.
That's
That would be
right.
awesome, Steve.
We'll be waiting.
All right. Well,
All right.
yeah. Happy Halloween, guys, and we'll see.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.
See you next
All right.
month.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
You know, stop recording.
Oh yeah. Thanks for reminding me.